After the giant 12.13 patch, we have a new meta on our hands. In this video, I'll cover my tier list and strategy for climbing on this patch, for both solo ranked and double up. Then I'll cover how to play all the comps mentioned. First off, there was yet again a hotfix the day after the new patch, where they nerfed Nami and Ryze, and also fixed the Vladimir bug. This was a great change that definitely helped keep mages in check. Let's first take a look at my tier list for solo ranked. There are some changes from the last tier list. Shin is an S tier. This comp has a very strong cap in the endgame, which will allow you to win the game a lot of the time. Varus Reroll remains an S tier. I was surprised at how strong it remained after it got nerfed. You still won't win too often with this, but the consistent top 4s you get with this comp is just too good. Xayah somehow survives another set of nerfs and still remains an S tier. This comp is the true cockroach of TFT. In A tier we have Mage Ryze. This comp is not consistent enough to be S tier, as you usually need 3-star Ryze and Zoe to consistently top 4 and win. Bruiser Sy'fen is all around a good comp, but without Pyke, it's a comp you won't get much higher than a top 4 with, which holds it back from being S tier. Corki is a comp that is a little too inconsistent to be S tier. It's very reliant on 2-star itis with 3 tank items to do well, and it's somewhat reliant on a good shimmer scale item if you want to win games. These two combinations holds it back from being S tier. Assassin Olaf ended up in a weird spot. You need an assassin emblem on him to even play the comp, and then you still need to 3-star Olaf and Diana to do well in the late game. Mirage Daeja is all around strong. You need 2-star Daeja to top 4 and 3-star Nunu to win games. This makes it too inconsistent to be an S tier comp. The asterisk is there because the comp is only worth playing if the Mirage synergy is Executioner, Duelist, or Spellsword. Dawnbringer can also work, but in that case you have to focus more on Nunu 3-star over Daeja. CavaLegends is a new variant of the Volibear Legend comp. This comp is strong and consistent, but usually not enough to win games a lot of the time. You will get a lot of top 4s with this comp, but you will also rarely get lower than a 6th if you don't hit. Jades got hit a little too hard with the Shio-Yu nerfs. It simply doesn't have the burst damage to get through a lot of comps in the meta right now, which makes it fall down to B tier. Mage Ryze is a comp that is just not strong enough to get more than a top 4. This is generally not worth playing unless you have a great opener for the comp. Nidalee Reroll is a very tempo-oriented comp. You need to hit Nidalee 3-star right away, and then use that power to hit 6 shapeshifters late game. If you don't achieve those 2 goals, you will often bot 4 with this comp. Sin Reroll needs a strong opener to do well, as it's a bit weak until you hit 6 Dragonmancer with Sin 2-star. Looking at the double-up tier list, it is very similar, but there are generally less playable comps in this mode. Since you hit everything faster in double-up, comps like Shin and Xayah are the best, and most 3-cost reroll comps survive and are strong enough to be in A tier. Comps with lower caps get moved down a tier like Varus and Sy'fen. Additionally, comps like Karma and Nidalee don't have enough power late game to win fights, which is why they get completely removed from the tier list. And if there is a comp I didn't mention here in any of the tier lists, it's a comp that is in C tier or lower. Now moving on to my strategy for climbing on this patch, and let's first cover solo ranked. If we look at the meta, there are 2 paths you can take: reroll or play for a fast 8 to use 4-cost carries or dragon carries. Yet again, I feel like a broken record, but we have yet another patch where some 3-cost 3-stars are meta. With a similar meta comes a similar strategy. I start bow on the first carousel. This is because Varus, Xayah, Corki, and Daeja want 2 bow items, Sy'fen and Volibear want 1 bow item. Rageblade is an item all these comps can use, and therefore I always look to slam this in the early game. From there, I default towards Xayah, but if I get more direction for any of the other comps, I'm willing to pivot into those. While defaulting towards Xayah, I always look for a warrior with Aatrox and Yone opener, or a Swift Shot opener. With both of these comps, I prefer a Bruiser or Cavalier opener. This means I always buy Kench, Skarner, and Shen in the early game if I see them, and then pick my backline based on what I get. These openers are also great to play for a lot of the other comps I mentioned earlier, but generally you need a specific opener to play Varus where you want Bruisers and Astrals, and with Corki you need Cannoneers and Trainers in the early game to play that. By the time I get to Krugs, I'm usually only defaulting between 2 comps, to make sure I'm not overwhelmed by options, and so I can slam more specific items and hold less units on the bench to make interest. If I get more AP items, I will be looking to play Mirage Daeja if the trade is good, as you can itemize her with full AP. The other option in that case is to force mages, and then look to either reroll Ryze, or if I'm strong enough to roll level 8 or 9, I will look for Shin. The meta overall is relatively balanced, so I am willing to play the B tier comps, but only in cases where I have great openers for them. The strategy in double up is similar as the tier list is similar, but I always coordinate with my partner before any of us commit to a comp. Generally, you want to have both players go for a 3-cost reroll comp, or have both players push to fast 8. This is because you need to send each other the units needed to hit the late game power spikes. Additionally, 3-star 4-costs are more common in double up, and they are a reliable win condition. Both players generally need to be at the same level to be able to send the correct cost units to each other. However, this doesn't mean that if one player has a great opener for one type of comp, the other player hard forces a comp with the same leveling strategy. If both players play comps based on their openers, you will both have more consistent early and mid games, which will often lead to safe top 2s. And at the end of the day, a second place in double-up still gives LP, and it's a consistent way to climb. Now let's talk about all the comps mentioned. I've already made in-depth guides on a lot of these, and more are on the way, so if you want to learn more about any of these comps, make sure to subscribe to the channel. First up is Tempest Ao Shin. This is mostly a high roll comp that you can only play if you're win streaking throughout most of the game, or if you got a bunch of econ augments that accelerated your gold count greatly. Since you want to ideally fast 9 with this, it's something you can only play in a couple of your games, but if you get there, you basically just won the game. Items for Ao Shin is one mana item which is Sojin, a healing item which is BT, Gunblade or Hodge, and a damage item which can be Archangel's Deathcap or JG. As for augments, you want economy augments, besides that, anything else that gives you more tankiness. Next up is Varus. This comp wants to slow roll at level 7 for 3-star Varus and 3-star Illaoi. Once you hit both of them 3-star, you can drop Skarner for Sylas as he's a bit better. Don't be afraid to roll down earlier than usual as you will hit way faster when the Astral Synergy is active. Items for Varus are Rageblade, then pick 2 of Deathblade, Hurricane, Hodge, or Giant Slayer. In most lobbies you don't need Hodge, and if you get a healing augment, that's usually enough to drop Hodge. Varus is very item dependent, and he does not feel like a carry until he has 2 items on him, so going for a loss streak until you have items is usually what I like to do with this comp. Illaoi wants standard tank items like Stoneplate, Redemption, Warmox, Dragonclaw, or Bramble, and the best augments are anything to buff up Swift Shots, healing augments, or the Cosmic Gifts one is also really nice. There is also a guild version of this comp that has been successful. Personally, I haven't played it yet, but it can also be another option if you hit a lot of Namis while rolling. Next up is Guild Talon Xayah. With this comp, we want to fast 8 as we are running 4 4-cost units. You will lean more into Xayah or Talon depending on your augments and items, but the majority of the time you prioritize Xayah items. She wants Rageblade, QSS, and Giant Slayer. Giant Slayer on Xayah is important to get through the tanks, as Talon will deal with the backline carries. You can drop QSS for another damage item like Deathblade or IE on Xayah. Talon wants IE to make his spell always crit, a healing item, and then lastly Frozen Heart. Next up is Ryze. You want to slow roll at level 7 for Sylas, Illaoi, Nami, and Ryze 3-star, although Ryze is definitely the most important one. Items for Ryze is Sojin, the second item wants to be a damage item with Archangel's Deathcap or JG, and the last one wants to be Gunblade to heal himself up from the splash damage, and also to heal up our frontline. As for augments, anything to do with mages is great, and Jewel Lotus is insane in AP comps. Healing augments are also great as you can drop Gunblade for another damage or mana item in that case. You can also drop Vladimir and Heimer to play more guilds once you hit 3-star Nami, or if you're not in a spot to hit 3-star Illaoi. Next one up is Bruiser Sy'fen. You want to go for Rageblade, QSS, and BT on him, although you can replace QSS or Rageblade with Titans or Giant Slayer if needed. Throw your tank items on Ornn and throw your extra carry items on Pyke. Stay on 6 Bruisers until you hit Pyke, then go into 6 Whispers. The best augments are anything to give you more Whispers or Bruisers. Big Friend is great to take less damage, and any augments that scale with HP like Second Wind or Titanic Strength are also great. Next one up is Corki. You want to fast 8 with this comp to hit both 2-star Idas and Corki. Items for Corki are Last Whisper and Giant Slayer, then the third item could be a healing or another damage item. Throw any tank items on Idas, although Stoneplate is the best one. The best augments are anything to do with Cannoneers or Rebels, and Stand United is amazing as you have many traits active in this comp. Next up is Olaf. With this comp, you want to slow roll at level 7 for 3-star Olaf and Diana. You also chase 3-star Shen if possible. If you do not get Assassin's Pad, then this comp is not great, but it still works. In that case, lean more into Diana carry and use Olaf as the secondary carry. You want to try and loss streak in the early game with this to both stack up Olaf and to be first pick on carousels, as sometimes they have spatulas on them. You want RFC and IE on Olaf to always crit, and to have more attack speed on him. His biggest weakness is not having healing, so if you can pick healing augments, that is fantastic. BT or Hodge can also replace RFC if you get attack speed augments like Best Friends or Zeke's Herald. Next up is Daeja. With this comp, you want to ideally fast 8, as you want 4 costs and a legendary with Yasuo. Like I said earlier, I only play this comp if the Mirage trait is Dexterity, Spellsword, or Executioner. Items for Daeja are either Rageblade or RFC for attack speed, Giant Slayer to get through tanks, and the last damage item depends on the trait. JG is best for Spellsword and Dexterity, but if it's Executioner, then play Deathcap or Archangels on her instead. Zeke's Herald is great in this comp to further buff up Daeja. Throw tank items on Nunu or Hecarim, and late game throw the rest of your items on Yasuo once you hit him. Chase 3-star Nunu in the late game, as that is a solid win condition, and any healing augments are also great to give Daeja a little bit of healing, or anything to buff up the Cavaliers or Mirage is also great. Next up we have CavaLegends. You slow roll at level 7 with this board -1 Cavalier, and then play any Dragonmancer until you hit Yasuo. Once you hit 3-star Volibear, level up to 8 and play this board. You want to keep chasing 3-star Anivia here. Items for Volibear are Rageblade, QSS, and BT. Throw tank items on Ornn and throw AP items on Anivia. You can also throw AD items on Yasuo late game. The best augments are anything to buff up Cavaliers. Electro Charge is great to get more damage, and First Aid Kit is great to heal Volibear up even more. Next up is Jades Anivia. You want to get to level 8 to hit 9 Jade, or you can cut down to 6 Jade and add in Mystics. From there, roll for 3-star Anivia and 2-star Xayah. Items for Anivia are Sojin, and then 2 damage items like Archangels or Giant Slayer also work. Xayah wants pretty unusual items. Titans is great to get him to 25 stacks, BT is great for him to heal up, and Edge of Night is great to give him even more attack speed. Other AD items like Giant Slayer, Xayah, and Hurricane can also work on him. Throw your tank items on Neeko, and any augments that buffs up Jades or Anivia are also great. Next up is Karma Reroll. You slow roll at level 5 for 3-star Karma, Taric, and Leona, then push level 8 to get 6 Dragonmancers in. You want blue buff on Karma plus 2 damage items. Crit is better as we get a lot of raw AP through Dragonmancer, therefore I and JG are the best second and third items, but Giant Slayer also works. If you didn't 3-star Leona, she can be dropped for another tank like Ornn or Neeko. You also go into 6 Jades instead of 6 Dragonmancers if you have good items for Xayah. Next up is Nidalee Reroll. With this comp, you want to play 3 Astrals in the early game and then Lost Streak until stage 3-1 after Krugs. At that stage, you hyper roll at level 4 until you hit Nidalee 3-star. From there, you want to end up with this board. You can play Xayah over Shyvana until you hit her as well. Items for Nidalee is Rageblade and QSS, and then you go Deathblade, Giant Slayer, or BT as the last item. Any augments that buffs up Shapeshifters or healing augments are also great in this comp. Next up is Sin Reroll. With this comp, you want to slow roll at level 7 by dropping Neeko. Once you hit 3-star Sin, go to level 8 and add in Neeko. This comp is a lot stronger with +1 Dragonmancer, as you can drop Set and have the level 8 version at level 7. Sin wants full crit items so that he one-shots the backline, and he also wants 1 healing item. If you get Jewel Lotus, play Titans or Deathcap over JG. Swain is the secondary carry, throw Shiv and Rageblade, and then throw a damage item on him to finish him off. Like I mentioned earlier, I will make in-depth guides on most of these, so comment and let me know which one you want me to make next. I will also link my Set 7 comp playlist in the description, so you can check out the ones I've already made. All these comps mentioned in this video will be linked in an Imgur album that is available on my Discord server in the hashtag TFT resources to improve text channel, and the invite link to that server is down in the description. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want cheat sheets for any of my comp guides, they are available for YouTube members and patrons. Link to those are in the description. And if you want to get better at TFT, join the Discord. We got over 9,000 other players there who are hungry to climb. And if you want to get coached by me, the information is over on the Discord server as well. So take care and see you in the next video.